about how I found out my best friend was sleeping with my father. You know, like you have that thought that, yeah, it could be a possibility or whatever, but I never really like thought about it. Like, I was just like, I had like an epiphany. I was just like, you disrespected me. I want to fight. Welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Ja the Goat here, and I'm back with another one. This is today is January 16th. Just a quick update on like what's going on in my life for those of you who have watched previous videos. I'm living in Houston. I just moved to Houston from New York in June. It is now January. This is a week where I currently still haven't found full-time employment, but I do have a part-time job. I'm doing okay. Today I kind of wanted just to like give a little story time, right? Just because I feel like y'all don't really know me. I haven't done a Q&A or like any of those type of videos. As time goes on, you know, we'll get to know each other a little bit better. I definitely appreciate the support that I got in my last video about like getting fired on Christmas and things like that, and so I wanted to give y'all just a little bit of snippet of all the stuff that I go through. But this is a story about how I found out my best friend was sleeping with my father. That's the tea. I never like to talk about family because I feel like that's like a little bit personal. So like but this is a part of my story, and like how I experience trust now has been impacted by, you know, what took place. But I'm also at a point where like, listen, if they were okay with that, I'm okay with it too, and I'm okay with sharing my story and how I experienced it. I'm not going to give like names, but this is basically what happened. So I had this friend, my father owns a store in Harlem. His store is just like, he sells a lot of different things, whether it's like clothes, Nike tech, polo. You've actually seen me in his store before in one of the previous videos. So if you haven't already, check out, just take a look through my videos and you would, you know, have seen it or whatever. When I was about 14 years of age, my father had two stores. He had just built a new store that was closer to like some projects. Currently now he still only has one store, but he built that store thinking, you know, like that the traffic there would increase, you know, the amount of money he would make there, but that wasn't the case. But there was this new girl, because that was the newer store, she started working at the other store. I met her and she was just like super nice to me, you know what I mean? Like I always like craved, I think I want to say, my father's attention, just because I didn't have it, right? So I didn't grow up in a household where my father was with my mom, or like they was once married. I didn't grow up in that type of household. I always lived in a separate borough from him, and like even when I lived in the Bronx, I would have to travel to Harlem to see him, and not like the opposite way where he was like coming to see me in the Bronx. And then when I moved to Queens, he wasn't coming to Queens to see me. I was still like making my way to see my father and just like spend time with him. So like anytime that I did get with him, like I was very like, I need this time with my dad. Like I want the attention to be on me. My sister, my older sister, because I'm the second oldest, my older sister would say, oh, I'm being needy. But I just don't think she understood like the gravity of the situation, or like how serious it was for me to have these moments with my dad, because I didn't have him necessarily in my life as much as I wanted it to be. And at the majority of times when he was in my life, it was at the expense of me. So it's just like me coming to see him, or like me getting that extra mile or doing these things. It wasn't vice versa. So yeah, that's a part of my story. And so I met this girl when I was like 14 or 16, give or take, whatever. Probably more so 16, I think. She was just so super nice to me, and like I would be at the store, but like, you know, I'm going to see my dad, and like she'll still be in my face, and I'm just like, I didn't really think much of it, you know, because it was just, oh, she just works at the store. Like everybody works at my dad's store. Like if you're a local in the community, she worked at the store. Her brother used to worked at the store before her. So yeah, it was obvious that he was just basically like putting his family on. I was like, okay, it's nothing. But like me and my dad would like eat in the back, and like she would join us to eat and stuff like that. And so I was just like, he feeds his employees. Like, this is my mind, or whatever the case may be. Like, he just feeds his employees or whatever. So this girl, we're gonna call her Snake. So Snake basically just was just like, hey, like, I'm a cosmetologist on the side. Like, I would love to basically like do your hair. Because I was looking at the time, I was looking for like a braider or like somebody to do my sew-ins, because back in the day in New York, sew-ins used to cost like $80. And I was like, like, I'll pay you. Like, how much do you want me to pay? And she was like, no, I'll do it for free. I'll do it for free. And so that's how we built our relationship. It was based off of like her services basically, and her just like, being there. Like, and so it was a great friendship. Like, we went to Vegas together for like my 23rd birthday. We went to Houston together for my 25th birthday. And she was always just like a part of like some milestones, but we did have problems with communication because I always felt like she was keeping a secret from me. It turns out she was keeping a secret from me, but I always felt like she was keeping a secret from me because you ever had those friends where it's like, you'll say a lot of stuff about yourself, but they'll never really say nothing. Like, and so like, it was always like one of those friendships. And I was always like, well, like, tell me more about yourself, Snake. Like, what do you got going on, or whatever the case may be. Like, what are your goals? Because I'm like one of those friends, I would say, like, I'm very goal oriented. When I get around friends, I definitely just want to like uplift them to make sure they're reaching their goals. Because at this point, like, in our friendship, I was like, I graduated Syracuse University, I graduated undergrad, and I'm like going into my master's career, and I'm just like, girl, like, why are you still at my father's store? Like, that doesn't make sense to me. Because, you had goals of like being a cosmetologist when I first met you, and like almost 10 years later, you're still in this spot and you're not getting any younger, you're in your 30s or whatever. So I'm just thinking, like, like, what's the goal? Like, she was like, no, I like this job a lot, basically, because like it provides her with money, and she could come to the job, drink, and like chill, relax, vibe. She doesn't really have to do much there, and she's still getting paid pretty well. And I was just like, okay, like, but I still think, you should want more for yourself, because there was times like when we would be in the store and like my father would yell at her, and then she would just like break down crying, and like he would just yell at her because like she didn't do something right. Like, you know what I mean? Like, why the fuck isn't the freaking clothes in the back? Why you ain't count the clothes? Why are we missing clothes? Why are people stealing? Like, it would be like stuff like that, and like she would just be having a whole meltdown. And I was just like, yo, girl, like, why are you crying? Like, it's never that serious. Like, and I could never really understood why like Snake like would just be so emotional over like everything that my father said. Like, it just didn't make any sense to me. Fast forward to probably like 2-3 years ago, right? So like, cause I had stopped talking to her for probably like almost a year before like, I found out, or whatever the case may be. 2 years ago, my father's baby mother, well, I was not called baby mother. She was more so like a long-term girlfriend. Like, they've been in a relationship for over 10 years. She has like 2 kids with him. He lived in a house with those kids or whatever. And those are the younger kids. And apparently I heard word on the street was, and Snake didn't tell me this, I just found out like from like my older sister, the long-term girlfriend, she came in the store and smacked her. I'm just like, what? And apparently they had like beef, and so in my head I'm just like, when I was looking at the beef, like in retrospect now I understand why she slapped her, but before I was just looking at it like, okay, this long-term girlfriend, like my father has cheated on her for like so many times, and like he had kids on her or whatever the case may be, so obviously she just doesn't want him around any woman. At least that's what I thought, like, and maybe she just felt like, yo, this girl's been around for like almost 10 years now, and like she's still here at this store, like I don't want no woman working at this store or whatever the case may be. Because I think another previous woman who worked at this store, who I never met, but worked at the second store, was later found to be like pregnant, and then one of my siblings came. Apparently that's the story. Like, this is just tea that I heard, so this is just like my understanding of the situation. So, yeah, I guess she just felt some type of way. She smacked her. They had a whole fight. And so when I asked Snake, I'm just like, yo, like, why she even do that? She like, I don't know, she jealous or whatever. She don't want nobody around your father, but like, da-da-da. And I'm just like, yeah, like, that doesn't even make any sense. Like, And so like then she started just moving so different. So like, yeah, at the time I was 25, this is when we was going to Houston. She didn't want to be recorded. I don't think I made a Houston vlog, did I? No, I didn't make a Houston vlog. But she didn't want to be like recorded on my like picture. She just didn't want to be seen because that fight happened. And so like that was always suspicious like to me, because she never really had social media. She just never wanted to be seen on my social media. I guess she thought that like my father's girlfriend at the time would be looking through my stuff, which wasn't like actually the case. And so I was always like kind of confused as to like why she was like so serious about like not being seen on camera and film. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with this bitch? But the boy was like wrong. Probably like, I think it was like my father's 50th birthday, which was like 2 years ago. Yeah, see, when I turned like 25, everything was like crazy. I think it was like my father's, his 50th or 51st birthday. They was throwing him a party in Harlem. And so I was going to that party, and then my older sister was there. But me and my older sister, like, we're up and down just because it's just, I don't have a reason, but honestly, I just think that there's like always like secret animosity towards like siblings who like have different mothers or whatever the case may be. Like not me towards her, but more so her towards me, because I am in between her and her brother, like my brother. So, but they have the same mom in between them. So I always felt like she was the first child, and so she always just like had this thing. And we'll get into that more in like separate conversations about like sibling rivalry. My sister, she like approached me. She was just like, yeah, like, you know, like, because at the time we wasn't speaking at my father's birthday, and so she came to me and she's just like you speaking with this girl or whatever the case may be, and like you not even speaking to your real sister or whatever the case, and you knowing like she and your father, like whatever the case may be. And I'm just like, what? Like it never, and it like you know, like you have that thought that yeah, it could be a possibility or whatever, but I never really like thought about it like that, because she's always been so like intrusive into my life. Like she wanted to know everything that I was going through, but like I said, she never spoke to me about the men she was dealing with. And I even asked her, I'm like, yo, when's the last time you had sex? Because she just act like out of all the years I knew her, she wasn't having sex. And that always was a problem for me, because I was just like, bitch, you're lying. Like I just thought that she didn't want to tell me like about her body count, just little shit. Like, but we rarely talked about men dating her, or she rarely talked about her baby father. And so it was always just like this barrier that we had with each other, like when it came to that. And so like I would always like here and there just stop speaking with her, because she also was like going through a lot of like depression at the store, and like she was in and out of it, and like she would just not answer the phone sometimes when I really needed her. And it would just be a lot, and her emotions was based off of how my father was treating her at the moment and at the time. I mean, I didn't really put my finger on it during then, but like in retrospect, now I know. So yeah, my sister's just like, well, you talking to this girl, da, da, da. And then so I asked her, I'm like, yo, you did this? She was just like, no. And she just sat there with a straight face like, no, I never, well, no. Why would I have sex with you? No. And she was just straight up denying it. And I'm just like, yeah, like, that's crazy. Like, why is my sister trying to like cause friction between me and this girl? Like, there's no reason for that. Like, I feel like it was just like probably a week later, I was having a conversation with my uncle, which is my father's brother, and he's just like, yeah, like everybody knows that. I'm just sitting there like, what? What do you mean everybody knows? A week later, like, you know, my uncle was just like, yeah, everybody knows. And then like my sister was just like, you know, egging me on like, yo, this is what's been happening, like this is da da da, like she's not really your friend. And mind you, like when I tell her everything. I told her everything, like majority of the things that was happening, like the men I was dating with, the men that like, you know, I was with. And so like things that I wouldn't want my father to know, that's the things that I was telling her. And so I really felt some type of way about it, because I also took her around like my mom, and like, you know, and it's weird because like when my mom would come into the store, my father would flirt with my mom in front of her face. So it was just like, or like he'll slap my mom's ass, or like it would just be things like that that just made me feel like, of course this couldn't be her man, because he actively flirts with the woman that comes into the store. He's like super nice, but they'll flirt with him and nothing is being said on her end. Like if that's your man, like that's your man. And so anyways, I knew for a fact at that point, like okay, my sister isn't lying. She's telling me the truth, and I feel some type of way. And I didn't feel some type of way that she slept with him, or like she was actively like in a like side chick relationship with him. I did not feel no type of way about that, but it was more so about the fact that like it was happening behind my back, one, and you were actively trying to be like stepmom, like slash best friend with me. Like you're going with me to Philly, you're going with me to these places. Now I see why, like when we go to these places, you're like, oh, I don't want to go to the club. I don't want to do this because you don't want me to see you like actively talking to other niggas. Like it all started to make sense. The relationship was weird, but it all started to make sense. So I was just like, I had like an epiphany. I was just like, you disrespected me. I want to fight. So I went to Harlem. I'm just like, yo, like, what's up? Like, where you at? And I was like, why does, like, I was like, you at the store? She's like, oh, no, I'm not at the store, I'm home. I was like, okay, come outside. But like, I was talking to her regular. And so she just pulled up outside. And so I'm just like, yeah, like, I want to fight you. And she was just like, nah, yeah, I don't want to fight. I was like, so why you never told me? Why you never told me? Da da da. And she's just like, told you what? Why you listening to your sister? I never slept with him. Like I never. And I was like, I want to fight you. She's like, nah, yo, I'm not gonna fight you. She's like, you're gonna hit me with my glasses on. Just like making me feel bad. And so like she started crying. Mind you, she's like mid-30s at this time, like mid-30s. I'm just like, yo, I want to fight, like. Cause you disrespected me, you infiltrated my life. It felt like, and it just felt like betrayal. Like I don't have a problem with you sleeping with him, but like why try to be so involved in my life as a friend and not just be honest with me? Like our whole friendship was basically like a lie, and so she denied it there, and I just didn't fight her because she just lived a pathetic life. Like, at the end of the day, you knew you were a side chick. You were on the phone, like he would be on the phone with his girlfriend, she'll be quiet, like you played along with this whole thing. So I felt bad for her at that point, and I didn't swing on her and I didn't hit her. And so I just went back home to Queens after that 30-minute drive, because it was on a weekend, early weekend, 30-minute drive. I went back home to Queens, and that was that. And then I became her friend again. I think one day my mom came into the store. She was just like, yo, like, because I told my mom about, well, I didn't tell my mom about it. I think my mom found out later or something like that. Somebody had told her that I went to fight her. And so she found out. But anyway, my mom went to the store, and one day she spoke with her. She was like, listen, like, all you had to do was just be honest with Nayel. Like, you didn't have to lie to her, you know, Snake. You didn't have to lie. You could have just, you know, told her the truth of it. My daughter is my daughter. Like, at the end of the day, she has a, you know, her own personality, and she really trusted you. So you should have just basically like afforded, like gave her that trust back, essentially, like, and like respected that. And then she was just like, yeah, right, da da da. So then one day, I think she just hit me up, or like I seen her in the store. It was something, and like, we just exchanged numbers, and we was taking it slow, and then we was cool again. She actually came and dropped me here to Houston. So if you want to look at one of those vlogs, you might see her. I'm not sure if she's on camera, but you might see her. Came and dropped me to Houston, and we was like still cool. But then I realized that, yo, she hasn't really changed. Like, she's a heavy drinker. When she was calling me when she got back home to like Harlem afterwards, only thing she was calling me about was like gossip about my siblings, and knowing that we don't really even have that like rapport, that I don't have that rapport with them. She was just talking about them and like talking about their situations and what they're going through, and I'm just like, yo, like, stop calling my phone with gossip. Like, I'm really trying to live a new life here. I'm trying to just have this, you know, just be new and filled with joy. I hate when people know like that you don't talk to people, and so they think that just because you don't talk to them, they could talk to you about them and or what their situation is. So I didn't really like that, and I told her about herself, and then we just wasn't talking. And then one day, like, my mom came to the store, and my little sister from one of my father's kids disrespected my mom, and I'm just like, but it was on behalf of like Snake, because like Snake seen my mom, and she was just like, oh, to my little sister, oh, you're not gonna tell Nayel's mom hi? And then the girl was just like, I don't know, I don't give a fuck. My mom didn't know that it was my father's daughter at the time, his other daughter. And so she was just like, bitch, fuck you. Like, I don't know you. Like, you a chicken head, da da da. And then she found out. And she's just like, yo, Snake, why would you even put me in a situation to argue with my child's father's daughter. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't even know that that was his daughter at the point. Like, I wouldn't have even done that. She was just like, no. So I told her, I'm like, listen, bitch, when I see you next time, Snake, I'm snuffing you. Like, I'm out here in Houston, you're disrespectful. You keep doing little stuff to my family, infiltrating it, and just causing, like, strife between people and siblings. And it's just like, it was just becoming too much. But I haven't heard from her since, and apparently she's in jail now. So, that's another story time. You know, I did speak to my father a little bit about it, but not too much, because he didn't really, like, he wasn't direct with me. He wasn't like, oh yeah, I did this, I'm sorry that you didn't know, whatever the case may be. But he was just like, he didn't really say much. But like, for me, and I didn't have, it was just different. Like, she hurt me more than he did, because he's a man at the end of the day. She hurt me because you tried to be a best friend. You was a best friend to me, and you completely betrayed me by, like, having a romantic relationship with my father and not just keeping it in a buck. Like, if you would have kept it honest from jump, like, because after, like, even after I was about to fight her that day, I was cool with her. Like, she, like we was building that rapport. She felt honest, and she was like, yeah. Like, she was calling me like, yeah, your father's tripping right now. Like, I haven't heard from him tonight, da-da-da. And I'm just like, yeah, girl, well, you know, like, you gotta do what's best for you at the end of the day. Like, I always kept the advice. Like, I didn't see him at that point, like, when she was talking about him as my father, I always tried to just still get the, like, give the advice as a friend would with a man who obviously doesn't give a fuck about you. That's the advice I was giving her, and I wasn't being biased at all. Like, I feel like the relationship was good during that point, but she still just had snake traits in between, like me moving and coming out here, where she was just being like really just manipulative and negative, and like, I didn't want no parts in that at the end of the day. And like, the reason why I always kept going back to her, even though behind my head, in retrospect, I probably had a feeling that that was who she was sleeping with, because you know, when you're going like years without sleeping and you don't even have like a religious belief or anything like that, I always kept going back to her because of time, right? I feel like when you know somebody for so long, there's like this comfortability level, no matter how toxic the relationship is, you're just like comfortable with them or whatever the case may be. Like, there was times where I would just like, you know, call her like names and stuff like that, and like be really hurt by like her just like being unresponsive to me and like the things that I was going through in life. And like, she was supposed to be like an older sister, right? Because she's old, she's like 10 years, almost 10 years older than me, and I really looked to her like an older sister. And that hurt that I felt during that time was just like, not again, like, not again. In the end, well, it's not the end. It's not the end, but in the end, you know, she's in jail right now, and now we don't talk. And so I think I'm happy the friendship is over. I'm happy that like I'm separating myself from like all the negative things that's like, and the people that has like betrayed me or hurt me. And I think this moving to Houston thing was just like something to happen for separation. I needed this separation. Otherwise, I would still be in those like friendships. I would still be in relations with like men who like, you know, just are not good for me. And I'm happy that the physical separation helped separate emotionally and detach from those types of people. That's how I found out my best friend was sleeping with my dad. So she was sleeping with him. But it took almost 10 years for me to find that out. When I always had the inclination that like, she had a relationship with somebody, but she just wasn't telling me. Or she had a crush on him, but just wasn't acting on it because he had a woman at home. That's my story. She was sleeping with him the whole time. I hope you like this video. If you want an update on like what's been happening as far as like my career and the interviews, I'll do another video about that. But if you want more story times about how fucked up the people in my life are, like, we could get into that tea as well. But I feel like if I do that, I'll be outing a lot of family members. And that's why I was just like, I don't want to do that. But at the same time, it's just like, y'all already did what y'all did. And y'all didn't care about me or my feelings. So hope y'all enjoy this little tea time story time, and you can like comment on your first reactions when you heard it, or like what y'all think. Was I wrong for like pulling up to her to fight her? Or like, was I wrong? I don't feel like I was wrong. I didn't even fight her, so that's a good thing. I held it together. But what y'all think about this story, or like what happened? Yeah, let me know what y'all thought. Watching this video. Bye.